everybody, welcome to the Julia Kamanga Show. I hope you are doing well. If you're new here, welcome to the show. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you stay for the ride. This is something I want to do where I tell you what I watched throughout, a particular month. I kind of got the idea from BookTube. I definitely think that it's really fun to see what everyone's been reading in, a short time span. And I think that it would definitely be fun to kind of add that implement to film tube. Is that a thing? I don't even know. I think that in January I had such a good time. I watched a lot of fun new content. I also rewatched Harry Potter, but I would like to disclaim that fuck J.K. Rowling, and I did it in a way that she does not profit from it. And I just wanted to kind of see how the films how it feels to watch the films as a filmmaker, because I feel like I haven't watched them for a very long time. So it was very interesting the whole time I was watching the edit. But aside from the Harry Potter series, I have been watching a bunch of new things, and I just want to talk about it. I didn't watch a lot, so this is probably going to be pretty short and sweet, but I'm gonna try to summarize my feelings around what I watched without going into such great detail. I'm also trying to catch up on all the films that are going to be in the Oscars. I realized that of the Best Pictures, I've only watched, I think, 3 of them, which I'm shocked by because I've watched a lot of films. So I'm like, damn it, how did I do this again? How did we get here? The first film I watched this year is called A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. There's this girl who kind of walks throughout, I think it's Iran if I'm not mistaken, and she kind of stalks different bad men, and she's a particular type of entity, and she, punishes them because they've been terrible to women and stuff like that. She kind of falls in love with this other guy who's intertwined in the stories of some of these men, and it's an interesting film because it's not necessarily about the romance. It's more about the fact that this man falls in love with this girl who's just kind of strange and different, and he really vibes with her energy, but he doesn't know that she is not, I guess, the most moral person in the sense that she commits crime. But she's only committing crime to people who are immoral too. But it's very interesting. It's a very interesting movie, very experimental in my opinion. I love experimental films. It's shot in black and white. It is a gorgeous film, and I've been wanting to watch this for a very long time. So I'm excited I finally got to it. Oh, my skin looks so good in this light. I hope it stays down. Next film I watched is City of God. I don't know why I waited so long, but I'm also happy I kind of waited. I don't know why. I feel like I watched it at the right time for me to appreciate it in the right way. Because I feel like if I watched it in film school, I was going to try to be that film student who's like, oh my God, it's just so deep, and the metaphors. I just enjoyed it so much. I feel like I had a good time just enjoying and being engulfed in it without analyzing it. And it was so fun. Not fun as in the content of it, but it was fun to see how they shot it, and the way that they edited it is very documentary style, very experimental, especially for the time. And it was so beautifully shot. It is gorgeously shot. Oh my word, it is gorgeously edited. I enjoy that edit. I love that editing style. But the subject matter is very serious. It follows, this gang in a place called the City of God, and pretty much how they take over the territory, the dangers of living in there. And we look at it through the point of view of, I'm sorry, I forgot the character's name, but we look at it from a character's point of view because he becomes a journalist in real life. It's based on a real tale. And this is how he got into that space of journalizing, and what inspired him, and the space that he grew up in and stuff like that. And I think it's a very interesting retelling of a real life story. I think they did a very good job, of how they did it, because it didn't feel like it was romanticizing crime, but it also allowed us to see how they romanticized crime in being in that space, how each gang and criminal got into that space because of how they romanticized it. But it wasn't as if the film was like, do crime. I think they did a very good job of showing us the dangers of it, and even the spaces in which people may see it as positive, how it positively impacted these particular gang leaders to stay in the dangers of it, and how quickly things can turn and become the worst thing ever. It is so good. It is so good. But if you're not into tragic stories, I think stay away from it if you never watched it. But it is so good, beautifully shot. If you love cinematography, if you love editing, definitely watch this. Very good acting. I enjoyed it. Great acting from the kids to the adults. I was just like, Jesus, they did such a good job. Next film I watched is Triangle of Sadness. I went into watching it without having a single clue what it was about, and I'm happy. I didn't understand. People kept referring to it on Twitter, and they kept talking about the first shots with the models and stuff like that. I was so confused on what was happening. I thought it was a documentary about the modeling industry. So I was like, okay, I'll watch it. I love documentaries. But when I kind of got into it, it's this idea of the cycle of like, capitalism and power shift and dynamics changing, and how quick lack of money and what power means and stuff like that can change a scenario and stuff like that. It is very hard to try to explain this film because it is in 3 parts, if I'm not mistaken. We start off, with this model who's trying to get, into a show or an agency. And we see him go on a date with his girlfriend at some point. We see them go on this cruise at some point. And we see them after the cruise situation. So this is just so I don't spoil anything. And it is so interesting to show the power dynamic shifts and how everything, how quick everything can change for you. You can be the richest person, but if the value of things changes because of where you are, how quickly you are useless. Like, it is just, and it's also like what people are willing to do to keep their power. I've heard it's about, communism and capitalism and stuff like that. But aside from just that, and I know I'm not explaining it the best way, it's really, I like things that can show how the world works with metaphors and stuff like that. And the metaphor would be how the story is told. But even aside from that, it is hilarious because I don't want to get too deep into this. If you know, the whole captain's dinner. I am so, like, the captain's dinner from that time going down is hilarious. It's peak comedy. People are fucking,
This is really bad. This is really, really bad.
It's a disaster, guys. It's so good. Just watch it. Like, that's all I have to say. If you've watched it, put a captain's head in the comments. I loved that humor. I was dying. I was cracking up. When homegirl toilet girl. That's all I'm gonna say. The next thing I watched is The Menu, another big, everyone has to watch this type of film. So The Menu follows the story of a particular restaurant that everyone really wants to get into. It's really, except one of the characters. It's really like prestigious and, only the richest people go there, and the menu's set in a particular way. It's like a 7-course, meal and whatever. And the chef is kind of taking matters into his own hand because he feels that the rich people who go there don't appreciate his food. That's all I'm going to say. It is just really great. It has Ralph Fiennes. Anything with Ralph Fiennes, I enjoy. It has Anya Taylor-Joy, and it's got Nicholas Hoult. It's also got a bunch of different people, but I love all their performances. They all did a great job. Nicholas Hoult's character made me cringe.
Are you crying?
It's just I find it all very moving.
He wouldn't stop. I wanted to scream. I had secondhand embarrassment for his entirety of a person. He was frustrating.
Is this bergamot I'm getting, chef? Yes, it is.
Look, in all honesty, I'm going to be honest with you. I already knew about the plot twist of The Menu. Nobody had to tell me. I just put 3 and 2 together, okay? And I figured it out, but I still enjoyed the journey either way. And it's, again, just one of those things because I watch so many films like this. So it's hard to surprise me. At this point, I go into the film wanting to see how you're going to try surprise me. I want to see the execution more than like me being like, oh, I didn't see that coming. I feel it coming. Sorry. I definitely enjoyed how they did it. It was fucked up. That's all I'm going to say. Like the point where it got fucked up, I was like, actually just watch it. It's really good. I'll get into detail about it one day if you'd like, but I really enjoyed it. Lastly, from what I can remember that's new, I watched Banshees of Inisherin. I can't pronounce Inisherin. It follows the story of 2 best friends. They've always been getting along, but one day the one friend just is like, I'm done being your friend.
Harlem Sonny Larry. Didn't you and he used to be the best of friends?
We're still the best of friends.
No, you're not.
Who says we're not? Sit somewhere else.
And the one is like trying to figure out, but what did I do? You must be joking. Maybe had a bad day. We're homies. Why would you stop being my friend? And we follow the dynamic of how the friendship, how like losing this friendship changes a lot of the dynamic of the space they live in. They also stay in a very, very small village. Like everybody knows each other. They're only like 20 people or something like that. It's really small. And it's so interesting because it's not even just about like two grown men who are like, stop being friends with each other. It also kind of follows, you know, everyone's mindset around the dynamic, but also how, like, you start to understand kind of why the wine guy stops being friends with this person and who the person is. And it's performed by Colin Farrell and Brandon Gleeson. Brandon Gleeson, who played Mad-Eye Moody in Harry Potter, which was funny because right after this I started watching Harry Potter, so it was nice to see him again. Let me tell you, when I started watching this movie, I was laughing. It was hilarious. I think Irish people have the most funny humor.
Do you know who we remember for how nice they was in the 17th century? Who? Absolutely no one. Yeah, we all remember the music of the time. Everyone to a man knows Mozart's name. I don't, so there goes that theory.
I went from laughing constantly to feeling so fucking sad. Yo, I was like literally in the beginning, I'm just like cracking up, like this is hilarious. And then it turns and I'm like, what? It's sad because it's like, it really looks at also how, I mean, it was very dramatic, but it looks at what levels people are going to do to contain their peace.
Stop bothering me. I have a set of shears at home, and each time you bother me from this day on, I'll take those shears and I'll take one of my fingers off with them, and I'll give that finger to you until I have no fingers left. Does this make things clearer to you? Not really, no.
It looks at the levels of how painful at the end of a relationship is, how we don't take each other seriously when we ask for space from each other, and also how far we are going to go to hurt each other. It is, oh my fucking word. Yes, sis. And they performed it. Oh, everyone's acting was so good. I've seen almost all these actors in something else, and they transformed. They did such a good job. I love it when I know you as an actor, but you make me forget your name and I only remember your character name. I love that stuff because, you know, Colin Farrell's so good at doing that with all the stuff that he's been doing of late. You know, like he switched from who he used to be in, like, was it called phone booth kind of Colin Farrell, to who he became later on. And I am so happy for that switch. I think he even speaks about it at the roundtable thing that they do, the Hollywood Talk thing. And I'm so grateful for it. He is just a fantastic actor and I love anything he's in of late. And I'm actually going to watch Yang, After Yang, if I'm not mistaken, if that's the name, soon. So I'm really excited to watch that. But I was so sad after I watched that film. I wanted to cry a little bit. I don't cry, but I was like, damn, shit. That's all I was just like, shit, damn, okay. So yeah, that is all the new stuff I watched in January. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Tell me if you enjoy my wrap-ups. I'm going to keep doing them, but just let me know if you enjoy them. And have you watched any of the films that I listed? I obviously hope to watch a lot more. And I think when I do my wrap-ups, I'm going to do, you know, shorter descriptions. It's just because I only watch like 5 new things. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. And I shall see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.